Listen, when a woman starts to distance herself, your immediate thought is usually that her interest has faded, that you are being ghosted, or that you have messed up. But consider this. What if the reality is actually the reverse? What if the reason she is building a wall isn't because she lacks feelings, but because those emotions are so intense they actually frighten her? Stay with me, because what I am about to explain goes against almost everything you have heard regarding female psychology. There is one specific behavior mentioned at the conclusion of this video that 99% of men completely interpret the wrong way. Once you recognize it, you will realize with total certainty that she is battling her own internal emotions. But first, you must grasp an unsettling truth. The very person who seems distant today might have already pictured a life by your side. That vision is precisely why she is retreating. I will show you the specific indicators that distinguish a woman who is truly bored from one who is simply guarding her heart against falling too fast. When you can interpret these signals, your entire perspective shifts. You stop feeling anxious, you quit the pursuit, and you finally grasp the hidden reality beneath the surface. So let us address the difficult question. Why would anyone flee from a person they genuinely enjoy? Here is the reality of her withdrawal. Imagine things were going perfectly. She was friendly, engaged, and the spark was obvious. You had excellent discussions and she enjoyed your humor. Then, without warning, she turns cold. Her replies become brief and she is suddenly unavailable all the time. The vibe shifts entirely. Your logic tells you she has moved on. However, what many men fail to realize, and this may sound unbelievable, is that powerful affection often triggers powerful pushback. There is actual science involved. When a woman feels a sudden deep connection, her biology releases stress signals similar to a survival situation. Her brain perceives emotional exposure as a physical danger. Think about that. Her system is chemically telling her to escape, not because you are bad for her, but because you might be too good. Openness is scary, particularly for those who have experienced past pain, those who value their self-reliance, or those who did not intend to develop feelings for you. When real attachment begins to form, it sparks a deep fear of losing control, being abandoned, or wanting someone more than that person wants her. And here is the part that will surprise you. She has likely already put you through subtle trials without your knowledge. Small gaps in communication, intentional distance, or manufactured tension, all designed to see if you will chase her like most men do. Depending on your reaction, you either succeeded or failed a test you did not even know was happening. I will explain what those trials look like in a moment, because once you understand them, you will see them everywhere. This is a defense mechanism. She builds walls and retreats before things go too far. This is not about logic. It is about emotional survival. Her mind is guarding her heart. Ironically, the more she cares, the harder she might push you away. But here's the essential point. When a woman is frightened of her own feelings, she does not simply vanish. She leaves evidence, patterns, and contradictions that seem confusing. We are about to decode exactly how that looks. However, before I list the signs, you should know something most experts skip. There is one category of woman who will never display these behaviors, regardless of her feelings. If you are dealing with her, these lessons will not apply. Wait until the end, and I will show you how to identify her immediately. So, how do you distinguish between true disinterest and emotional guarding? This is where the real understanding starts. Before we dive deeper, do me a quick favor and hit the like button. What follows is a signal so subtle that once I mention it, you will immediately think of someone you know. The first indicator is the most baffling, hot and cold behavior. One afternoon, she is incredibly responsive, laughing, and open. The next, she is distant and takes hours to give one-word replies. If she truly did not care, the temperature would be consistently cold. This fluctuation represents an internal battle. Part of her wants to connect, while the other part wants to flee. The warmer she feels one day, the colder she will likely become the next. It is not random, it is proportional. If you have an incredible night of conversation, do not be surprised if she seems like a ghost the next morning. It is not a rejection, It is resistance to her own vulnerability. Pay attention to the timing. If the distance happens right after a deep or meaningful moment, that is the proof you need. The second indicator is psychological. She becomes defensive when you get too close. If you ask a personal question, offer a sincere compliment, or mention a shared future, she might deflect with a joke, change the subject, or act uncomfortable. Women who are uninterested do not usually get defensive. They just do not engage. But when she is scared, intimacy feels like a threat, so she raises her guard when things feel too legitimate. Watch what happens if you pull back after she acts this way. Does she then try to reach out with something random? If so, she is definitely afraid because she wants you around, but she is terrified of the closeness. Third, she observes you while acting indifferent. You might catch her looking at you when she thinks you are occupied. She views your social updates almost instantly, but waits many hours to reply to your text. She recalls tiny details about your life that you barely mentioned weeks ago. This is not casual. It is the behavior of someone replaying your interactions in her mind. If she did not care, she would not be paying such close attention. Fourth, she mentions other men, but never with any seriousness. She might casually remark that someone asked for her number or that an ex contacted her. Watch closely. There is no real excitement in these stories. This is a manipulative but effective test. She wants to see your emotional reaction. Will you become jealous or insecure? This is a shield. She is creating artificial competition because she wants to know if you are willing to stand your ground. However, if you show jealousy, you fail. The better response is total calm and a bit of amusement. The fifth indicator is a total giveaway. Her friends act strangely around you. They give you knowing glances or seem surprised when she acts distant. They might even drop hints that she talks about you constantly. Her friends know her history and have seen her do this with people she liked before. If her inner circle is invested in you, it is because you are a major topic of conversation. Women do not discuss men they are bored with their closest friends. Now, how do you manage a woman who is frightened of her feelings? Most men make one of two mistakes. They either pursue harder to convince her it is safe, or they walk away entirely because they think she is playing games. Both are incorrect. Chasing suggests you are desperate, while leaving suggests you never cared. The effective strategy is to provide room without vanishing. Do not pressure her or try to argue her out of her fear. Instead, mirror her energy with composure. If she steps back, you step back too, not out of spite, but to show you are not needy and that you have a fulfilling life. When you do reach out, make it about something specific and relevant, not just a generic greeting. This shows you are thinking of her while demonstrating that your life is interesting. When she sees that her distance does not rattle you, her fear begins to dissipate. The threat of losing herself in the connection feels smaller when you are not demanding all of her focus. Show that you are grounded. Share your own life and minor vulnerabilities, but do not make her your project. Women are drawn to emotional depth, not dependency. For instance, instead of saying you are afraid to lose her, say you understand the hesitation because you have also been hurt before. Same message, but a very different energy. Most importantly, keep living your life. Focus on your fitness, your work, and your friends. When she sees you succeeding, she realizes you aren't waiting around, which actually makes her feel safer. As I mentioned earlier, there is one exception. Some women show these signs but will never commit. These individuals are not afraid. They are simply addicted to the chase. The difference is that a scared woman's resistance will eventually decrease if you are patient. A chase addict will find a new excuse to pull away every single time you make progress. If months pass with no growth, she is just enjoying the drama, and you should leave for your own self-respect. The final truth is that you cannot force someone to stop being afraid, but you can be the kind of man who makes that fear feel unnecessary. The ultimate test is whether you can be interested in her without becoming obsessed. Every hour you spend analyzing her behavior is an hour you are not investing in yourself. The moment you become obsessed, you have already lost. If this message reached you, leave a comment with the word feelings so I know you are paying attention. Be sure to subscribe, because next time I will share the exact message that encourages a hesitant woman to pursue you. You will want to see that.